Eventually. There we go. Hello everyone, how are we doing? It's Wednesday and you're watching the morning briefing from the Celtic Way. Tony, hello, how are things, etc.?
All good. And you're back in Australia, aren't
Yeah,
you?
I'm back in the lift shaft or whatever the geniuses in the chat like to refer to my background as. Yeah, I'm back. Joe, you're back as well after a strong performance yesterday. The manager, who is Tony, of course, has kept you on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
Yes, a stay of execution, another contract, call it what you will, you know what I mean? But enjoyed the briefing yesterday, we had a good laugh, so yeah, joking back.
Fabulous. Well, hopefully we can have a laugh today. The big spoiler, and you'll probably know this, everyone, is there's not a great deal of Celtic transfer news. Maybe we can conjure up a rumour or something like that. I have seen something recently, and I say recently, the last 5 minutes, about Daniel Kelly from Fabrizio Romano. So I don't know if that's
Yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of genuine stuff or if he's just kind of putting two and two together. We'll maybe come on to that. We've got a game tonight as well, Tony, Queen's Park.
Queen's
At,
Park?
what was it called? The City Stadium? Is that the new name for Lesser Hampden?
Yeah, the City Stadium, but I think in good old-fashioned money, it's always going to be Lesser Hampden, isn't it? But we'll give it its proper name, the City Stadium. Open brackets, Lesser Hampden, close brackets, for those who are old school like me. And speaking of old school, I've got the old school Benetton rugby top on there. I've just saying to Joe, and before we came on, that it was acceptable in the 80s. But there you have it, your old dad wearing kind of blast from the past there. But there you have it.
Do you get that, Joe, or is it's kind of gone over my head a little bit? I know, but they're a rugby team from France or Italy, is that right?
No. It's just it's the Benetton who are fashion.
Is there not a team
outlet.
called Benetton or something like that?
It's Team Benetton in the Formula One, isn't it? So they used to have the cars and all that. So
Wrong
yeah,
sport.
they're a clothing range, but they produced kind of. I think they did a clever thing. They produced this one, and then they also produced a blue and white one, especially when they were in had open shops in Glasgow. So they weren't daft.
Fabulous. Right, let's talk football. Before that, just a big thanks to MPH Boilers and Weissman. If you're looking for an award-winning heating solution for your home, MPH Boilers is your go-to team. As I say, they are award-winning. They're a family-run business. They serve all of mainland Scotland and they bring the best in boiler installations and servicing. And as you can see, they partnered with Weissman, who are known for their top-notch German engineered boilers. MPH Boilers ensures your home stays warm and efficient all year round. Visit www.mphboilers.co.uk for more details. Joe, how are things? What's on your mind regarding Celtic at the moment? Is it what were you like last week? Were you frustrated with the transfers? Were you calm? And how are you now?
I'm generally calm. I did say yesterday on the pod that the goalkeeper remains the big one for me, and selfishly, I would love that to speed along a little bit. Seeing some shoots and leaves about, I was saying this yesterday, Adamida looking a little bit closer, Paulo Bernardo looking a little bit closer. I was up at Lennoxtown yesterday on behalf of the Herald, and Nicholas Kuhn was doing a little bit of press and talking about pre-season, talking about going to America, talking about the team, obviously wanting to get back on the pitch proper against some good opposition, but also bonding behind the scenes and all the trappings of pre-season that hopefully bodes well for the season ahead. So yeah, I mean, like everyone, I'd love to see some players through the door, whether that's the guys we already know about, whether it's new people. But I'm also, these games tonight are great to have a semblance of football back, but it's marching towards the real thing, which is keeping me going and exciting, and hopefully bringing some faces along the way.
So what was Nicholas Kuhn saying? I know you mentioned some of it there. What was the big takeaway from that yesterday?
He was speaking, very candidly, as he has since he's come in. Obviously, he looks back on the dental surgery, which no matter how many times he speaks about it, it sounds horrific. He spoke about the weight loss again, and but now feeling like he's back on track. I remember him saying, I think it was at the Cup semi-final against Aberdeen, that he was just finding his stride at that point. So that was in April. Having come in the door in January, he was still getting towards match fitness. I thought the takeaway was it kind of echoed something similar to what the manager had said before. Brendan Rodgers had said that, having come in a little bit controversial, coming back in as manager of Celtic, having overcome some adversity, having won the double, that was him back to zero in terms of the faith with the fans and everything moving forward. And Nicholas Kuhn was saying something similar in the sense of, he was wanting to make an impression from January, but now he feels he's back to his best, and this is him. This is his reset. This is him starting again. So if it's a player that has a point to prove, that's welcome. Especially in that position, wide areas, hoping to really make a name for himself in Celtic this season. So yeah, it was positive. He's not going to come out and be negative, but it was positive. As a player that probably still has to win some fans over, I don't think that's unfair to say. It was good to hear him say that.
I thought he looked lively on Friday in the first half. He didn't do anything extraordinary, but I thought he was on the ball and kind of, looked like he was really keen to impress. I'll be honest, Tony, I do think he's got work to do. I think apart from maybe 3 or 4 games at the second, when he came in, after that initial poor start, he had a run of 3 or 4 games where he looked really lively, Nicholas Kuhn, but I thought he ended the season pretty poorly. So I think he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but he's very aware of that, which I quite like. Yeah. So, and also I think he's one of those players who will benefit from having a full pre-season. He said that himself, and as Joe alluded to there, he's been asked about the dental stuff many times, and it's a huge contributory factor to how he kind of started, or how it all started for him. So yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And there was flashes last year where you thought there could be something there, but I really do think he's one of the players that needs to hit the ground running, because the kind of jury is very much out on him at the minute. I think there's capabilities there, but he really does have to produce something pretty extraordinary, as you say, to win the majority of the Celtic supporters over. Lots of them kind of casting aspersions on him and saying that, he's not the kind of winger that Celtic need, and Celtic need more in the wide areas. We shall see. I think like a few players, Nicholas Kuhn's kind of slate's wiped clean for this season, and see what you can do. But you're talking about signings. I wrote a fearless verdict on Adamida, didn't I, Joe, and put it out, so I'll put that on the chat there. You can read that.
Neck on the line, Tony. Neck on the line.
Neck on the line, very much so. So I've nailed my colours to the mast and said that Adamida will be a Celtic player this summer. So if you want to have a read at that, guys, you'll see exactly where I'm going with that. Lots of poker references in there, and it's. I'm still convinced that Adamida will join the club. So, as I say, it can only go 2 ways, one of 2 ways, can't it? So we shall see.
I'm hopeful as well. I agree with you. I think he will. I just I don't think my kind of thing in my mind at the moment is whether we sign him or not. Like, I'm pretty confident we will. My worry is that it drags on all summer, and then he comes in, last couple of days of the window, and you guys have already spoken about it with Kuhn needing a big pre-season. I think everyone needs a big pre-season. I think we found that out last season with a lot of our players when we left it later into the window to sign them. A lot of them, like Paulo Bernardo's a good example, barely kicked a ball to begin with. It wasn't really until later on in the season that he kind of offered something for us, Christmas time really. So I'd want all these players in as soon as possible. I know it might not be as simple as this at a football club, but from a fan's point of view, even if we have to pay a little bit more to just get the deal done, get them in, it's a no-brainer for me. Get them in, get them off to the States. Same for the goalkeeper. Enjoyed this from Bobby. He's got a good shout for a goalkeeper. Connor Goldson, could bring him in. He's good with his hands, isn't he?
Got for him. I think he's saying, he's got for him.
Yep. Walker saying Kuhn will never be the winger we need. That seems to be the kind of overwhelming feeling. Alistair Johnson out of Copa America, kind of. They still got a third, fourth place playoff to play, but they lost Canada to Argentina last night. Messi Alvarez with the goals. I believe they play on Saturday in the third, fourth place playoff. So I'm reckoning he just waits in America for his teammates. Bobby reckoning that he's seen enough in Copa America to give him the captain's armband, Joe. Big shout. What's Callum McGregor doing?
Aye. I mean, it's obviously with Callum McGregor, he's the first name in the team sheet and all the other cliches that get rolled out for such an integral player. But
Is he
the idea
vice-captain,
of
Johnston?
an
Joe Hart's
idea
gone.
an idea of the deputy. It seems to be, especially that last push, that run of games that Celtic were unbeaten and only drawing at Ibrox. It seems to have, he was already endeared with the fans, but that last, when it was time to get your sleeves rolled up, your hands dirty, it's an opinion which seems to be more and more popular among Celtic fans. And to be honest, with Joe Hart gone, as you say, it's not. I don't think it's unreasonable. And again, I feel like I say this every single time I'm on here, but there's only so much stock you can put in players that get it. The cliche works sometimes, but not always. However, I do feel like he gets it. I do feel like he's really embraced everything. And I wrote about this in the Celtic Way not too long ago about, I can't think of a player who, if we talk about that understanding of the DNA of Celtic, what it means, how to get endeared to the fans, how to be a little bit introspective and have fun when you see him on various podcasts, the Celtic official podcasts and things like that. I don't think I've seen a player seem to understand it as quickly in such a short space of time as Alistair Johnston, and to the point where you forget he came in less than 18 months ago. Like it's frightening. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but I sometimes picture players in the kit that they were signed in as a measure of gauging time. So there are kits that remind you of players, and I can't believe that it's only one kit ago. Maybe that's only me, but that's how my mind works in terms of timelines, because it feels like he's been here for a long time.
I think it felt like that early on, Tony.
Yeah,
sorry, you go.
From the moment he came in, he showed tremendous leadership qualities, didn't he?
First game,
took it upon himself. Ibrox, I mean, and he sailed through that, didn't he? Absolutely sailed through it. And, and I think from then on, the Celtic supporters were like, he'll do for us. And he spoke about the kind of ice hockey upbringing as well. And, and I remember writing that he just seemed to bounce players into the imaginary plexiglass. I mean, that was just his combative style, and the Celtic supporters took it right away. They thought, this is a guy who's going to give his all for a start, and then realised, actually, that's not just what he's all about. He's actually a really good footballer, and he's actually shown the kind of qualities that you want as well, that he can lead by example. And when he breaks forward, he's got an eye for a pass as well at times, and he can link up really, and you just think to yourself, wow, he's kind of a bit of an all-rounder here. And I think that's why he's been popular. And as Joe said, a couple of times he's won man of the match, and he's done those post-match interviews, and he's gave people a laugh. Your heart sinks when he actually comes in to do a presser, because you're strapping yourself in for about half an hour because he likes to talk, and that's fine. And I love all that, and he says some wonderful things, but being on the end of that transcription is not the best, right? So, but
I think off the pitch as well, isn't it? Like you saw, he had a real go at the I think it was just a random Twitter user or X user or whatever, and was a kind of racist comment about the Canada squad, and Johnson really stood up and really spoke from the heart about the two Caucasian guys in the team were actually immigrants themselves, and it was really, I'm not sure what the protocols are for social media managers and all that, but he was right in, just told exactly, he said exactly what was on his mind. And also that the altercation, I forget the player that it was, that the guy had kind of headbutted him. You see the modern game guys going down and making a real meal of it. He was upset, and he spoke about it after the match, but it was that kind of that humility and that decorum, so not just about his conduct on the pitch. Okay, the second one is on the pitch, but a real character that's easy to like as well, which is, again, what you're saying there, Tony.
His conduct on and off the pitch is exemplary, and it's something that you expect from a Celtic player. You don't always get it, but I think he represents that badge as well as anybody at the club at this minute in time, both on and off the field. And he's a wonderful ambassador for the club, like Joe Hart was and still will be moving forward. But you get players that you're proud to be associated with your football club, and vice versa. He's proud to be associated with the football club, and he just represents you as a supporter and your club the way you would want it to be represented. And I think Alistair Johnston's a perfect example of that. And he's got that wonderful thing in life. See, if you've got likability, you will go far, and people just seem to migrate towards him, and they like him. They just, he's well liked, he's popular, and you can't buy that, really, can you?
Yeah, big season for him as well. Big pre-season for him. This time last year he was out injured. Didn't come back until 5 or 6 games into the season. So he's another one like so many of them who you want a big pre-season for. I don't know what the plan will be. I'm guessing he'll need some sort of time off after Canada finish. I guess he did probably have a bit longer than the Scottish guys off after the season because Copa America didn't start until a week later. So I'm not sure there. We don't exactly have a lot of time. We may be looking at Anthony Ralston for a few matches, maybe at the start of the season. I don't know, guys. We'll wait and see. Daniel Kelly stuff, Fabrizio Romano, who doesn't always get things right, it's fair to say. I think he goes kind of searching for things sometimes. He tweeted to say Daniel Kelly could leave Celtic as a free agent in January. There's still no agreement after Celtic proposal to the player. Could be one to watch as many European top clubs follow him, including Bayer Leverkusen. Celtic have rejected all approaches so far. I don't think there's anything new there, anything that we didn't know. His contract is up at the end of the year rather than the season, so up at the end of this year, I'm sure. So is there any fears there, Tony, about Kelly leaving, or do you think a contract will be signed?
I'm hoping a contract will be signed.
Why did he not play on Friday, Kelly?
Don't know. That's the $64,000 question as well, isn't it? Yeah. Hopefully he'll be involved tonight, but as you say, I don't think there's anything new in the Fabrizio Romano stuff. We know that. Sorry, Romano stuff. We all kind of know his contract situation, and as I say, I'm friendly with the family as well, but I'd love Daniel Kelly to sign a new deal, but it's like everything else, he's got to look after himself, and Celtic know this, and the clock is now. I think Fabrizio Romano's just kind of chancing his arm a wee bit there and putting that out there, and just to alert people that maybe he is aware of, clubs that he knows that are interested in Daniel Kelly. Of course, he's going to be a hot property. He's a young footballer who's doing very well in Scotland, and a succession of foreign clubs have plucked good young footballers from Scotland recently. It seems to be their kind of go-to market, surprisingly so. Well, maybe not surprisingly so, because I've always argued that the players are there and the talent's there. It's just about giving it the opportunity. So Daniel Kelly, from what we've witnessed from him, we've been impressed with, we've liked. Stunning first goal for the club against Dundee. Everything seemed kind of rosy there, and then it just seemed to hit the buffers, didn't it? When you learned of the contract stalling. But Daniel Kelly will look after himself. The manager really, really likes him. He really likes him, likes his attitude, likes what he brings to the party. So he would like to think that Celtic would value that and value Rodgers' input on that and value the player. And if he's attracting a host of top European clubs, why is it that Celtic can't get a deal done? It's a strange one, isn't it? It really is.
I think it would be a frustrating one for the supporters, as 3 other supporters, if Kelly was to leave. I mean, Rocco Vata was that one was coming for a while. Kelly feels slightly different. I don't know, it feels like he maybe has a higher ceiling given the start he's actually made. He's already scored for the club. It would be quite a disappointing one if he doesn't, fulfil some sort of potential at Celtic.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the manager speaks so heartily about his man-management style and bringing on players, and Kelly just seems to fit that in every single aspect. Yeah, Rocco Vata is one that it felt like it was coming for a long time. Ben Doak, Liam Morrison, they're these guys that have kind of slipped through our fingers. Have obviously, you don't know the ins and outs of it behind the scenes, to be fair. Well, I mean, in terms of the young guys, it's like, as a Celtic fan, you want to keep them. You want to see them grow. You want to see them realise their potential at Celtic to really push on, not just domestically, but if there's a chance in Europe. And you saw that with Doak at Liverpool playing in a lot of the Europa games, and the majority of them when he was fit last year. But equally, these guys have spent a long time at the club that not everybody sees. So I remember when some people were upset when Kieran Tierney left and saying, "Oh, he's not been in the first team that long," but he'd been there for so long, working his way through the ranks, and then you get these big offers, and if they don't feel the future's there at Celtic, Tierney's a different one because the future definitely was there. Can you really fault them at a young age to be looking at Bayer Leverkusen, to be looking at Bayern Munich, to be looking at players like Jeremy Frimpong, who maybe didn't have the initial Celtic connection, but who's went on to do that? It's tough, But yeah, selfishly, I hope that they can get it sorted, because he seems like a player that the manager could work with as well to really bring out the best of moving forward.
It's a difficulty where he would fit into the first team this season, Tony, because it might not be financial reasons for maybe deal selling. It might be that he's wanting certain amount of game time, which is, I think, would be a good thing to see a player almost demanding that in a way. But equally, you have to earn it, and I wonder if the opportunity will be there.
Yeah, I take that on board, but I think Kelly's the kind of player who, if everything gets moved over and he signed a deal, I think he could force his way in, and I think he could make match day squads and he could get valuable game time. Because I feel that the manager thinks that he's got the attitude to force his way in and push himself, and so I would like to see all that put to bed by getting the player to sign a new deal, or the player signing a new deal. As Joe said there, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors or the kind of conversations that are being had, and it is hard to sort of not cast your eyes abroad and think Bayer Leverkusen, they're just off one of the best seasons that they've ever had in their history, stuff like that. And then if there's other clubs of that ilk who are interested in you, then but the boys are bona fide Celtic supporter, so he will do what's best for him and his family, and if that's not at Celtic, then it will be elsewhere. But I still think that these things can get ironed out, and I still think that Daniel Kelly could be a player for Celtic and a pivotal player for Celtic moving forward in the future. But the countdown's on now, isn't it? What's that? Always, 6 months really.
We'll probably speak to clubs from.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can speak to clubs from now on.
Yeah,
from now on, basically, more or less. Yeah. I think that's what Fabrizio Romano was kind of alluding to, wasn't it? So you just hope that an agreement's thrashed out, which is mutually beneficial to every party. Because I could see Daniel Kelly being involved this season with with a level playing field and everything being equal, and he's signing a new deal and becoming happy and forcing his way in. Because I think the manager doesn't speak very highly of players, in terms of youngsters, all the time. But he spoke he spoke in glowing terms about Daniel Kelly, and he mentioned his attitude, and he mentioned it 2 or 3 times, and he mentioned the fact that he's a talent. So I'm like Joe, I'm selfish, I want him to stay. And obviously, because I'm friends with the family as well, but that's neither here nor there. But if he goes away, then so be it. It's another one, as you say, he falls under the Liam Morrison, Ben Doak category, doesn't he?
I think the worry is that when Romano steps in, and I know that it's not as straightforward as Twitter dictates things, but by Romano stepping in, the tweet was this morning, wasn't it? Like already there's a facet of football fandom who've never heard the name before, who now have, and whether they remember it or not, but there is an element of they kind of remember the name whenever it's young players. So if the name has been spoken about elsewhere, I think the worst case scenario for us as Celtic fans is that he does break into the team between now and the end of his contract and then doesn't stay. So as much as I want to see him in, I want to see him in with a view of hopefully that's enough to get him signing the dotted line. But everything I say is selfish as a Celtic supporter.
And that might be why he didn't feature on Friday, and we might find out more. It might also be away on international duty. I'm not sure. I need to look into it, but it may be a case of, like we saw, I think with Rocco Vata with Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers. If you're not signing that deal, you're not going to feature. Joe's just saying it's an incredibly easy decision for him, for any Celtic Academy player to want to leave. They would have spent years doing relatively nothing and playing in lowland leagues. Not hard to leave that. I must agree, we all love Celtic, and I think Daniel Kelly's a Celtic fan as well. But as a footballer, sometimes you do look at what other clubs can offer you in so many different aspects, and I do think Celtic lack in that regard. I think the club are trying to bridge that. They've made some different appointments now. I think facilities are getting an upgrade in certain places, so hopefully we're able to hold on to these youngsters.
The bottom line, he says he wants to play. He wants to play first team.
Can we offer that?
Well, no, you can't guarantee it, but that's the thing, and I think he sort of sees well, and he's quite right to kind of hedge his bets and see what's out there and see what others are offering if Celtic are not going to offer it at this moment in time. But as I say, I think he's a talented enough boy that he could force his way in, to Brendan Rodgers' first team, and the manager's made no secret of the fact that he likes what he brings to the party. So I just, there has to be an amicable solution to this, surely.
Yeah. Is there chat about Bosun Lawal leaving on loan to Birmingham? I'm just googled Bosun Lawal Birmingham there, and it seems to be a few things from yesterday, but it seems to just be rumours. Can't be letting Lawal go out on loan. I mean, he at the very least needs pre-season to see what he can offer us this season, Joe.
Yeah, I saw that this morning as well, and then similar to yourself, I had a little dig into it, and I couldn't see anything that seemed anywhere near concrete. I like Bosun Lawal. I've made no secret of that. I've mentioned it on this pod as well. Like when I was working club media, I covered the B team for a stretch as well between times, and he just seems so comfortable. Different standards, but nevertheless, everything he was doing was like a window into the future almost. Really confident, playing in that centre back role, but so good in the air. I know he was playing further forward when he was out on loan there, but it was great to see him in the second half on Friday. I would love to think that he's in and about it tonight. And I agree. I think I have the small insight, on the peripheral when I've been there, but again, being at club media and having been on pre-season with the team and being around them and seeing how it works. And this is no secret. You can imagine this when they're living in each other's pockets. It's like your feature yesterday, Tony, about the America tour and 66 and how it brought the team together. Yeah. It's the same. That's no matter how much modern football changes, that's a universal tenet of, and no matter what level it is, when the players go in pre-season and they're living together, they're sharing rooms, they're waking up, they're having breakfast, they're having lunch, they're on the training pitch, they're on match days when they're away. It's invaluable, and I think that applies even more so to the younger players. So I'd love Lawal to be here, to go to America, to see how Cal McGregor conducts himself round the clock, to see how James Forrest is, and to see how maybe some of the younger players that are slightly ahead of him, how they're adapting and how they're stepping up, or even players that are in the same level. Like, you need to do those double and triple sessions, whatever it is they have them doing during the day in pre-season, which rather them than me for sure. But yeah, I think this is a really important summer for him, and hopefully any talk of bumming him or anyone else is just hearsay at this point.
This has to be a challenge for Bosun Lawal, Hamish, to force his way into that first team. If I'm Bosun Lawal, I'm saying, right, I went on loan last season, not so much out of sight, out of mind, because he had a stellar enough season, but he was Fleetwood's best player. But caveat that was Fleetwood get relegated. So let's not big him up too much in terms, but let's see what you got. And I think the player himself has to knuckle down and say, I want to be in that first team. Brendan, I'm here and I'm going to show you what I can do and take it from there. I wouldn't entertain him going away on loan, because again, that's just kicking the can down the road. Bosun Lawal, for me, has to have what we would term his kind of breakthrough season at Celtic. And I mean making squads, getting valuable minutes and making a valid contribution. You don't have enough sample size at Celtic to make any kind of judgment on him. Everybody at Fleetwood said he was going to win the Player of the Year. Again, it's a team that get relegated, so I don't know how complimentary that is, but you've got to take that for what it is and at face value. And so I'm saying to Bosun Lawal, if I'm Brendan Rodgers, you show me what you've got then. Show me why you should be in my thoughts and in my teams this year. And if Bosun Lawal has got any smarts about him, he will rise to that challenge and he will be that kind of imposing, physical, brute strength midfielder that he certainly looks the part. Now it's time to play the part in terms of Bosun Lawal and see where we can take it. But he's certainly not one that I would entertain going down south, because I think he again is another one that could play, could contribute this season to Celtic in some games.
I think one thing which is interesting as well, I don't really know the specific remit or purview of Darren O'Dee's new role, the pathway manager. I'm not sure. I know what the words mean. I'm not sure exactly how that plays out day to day. Bosun Loal played a lot under Darren O'Dea when he was looking after the reserves. So you'd like to hope all these small contributing factors kind of make a difference. Someone like Johnny Hayes who's come in. He would have been playing when Bosun Loal was kind of making noise at a low level. So hopefully that guidance from someone as passionate as Darren O'Dea can help him as well, because he knows what he's all about. He's seen him every week when he was playing in that reserve team, and knows what he possibly could be capable of, and it seems to fit in with this role that he's got now. Who knows?
Yeah, he could be a good alternative to someone like Callum McGregor. I mean, I think the chances of him knocking Callum McGregor out the team are, it'd be amazing if it happened. It would mean that he had an incredible, rise. But I think certainly looking at being an alternative option, obviously Iwata's there as well, but we've kind of struggled in that position over the years. I could name Ideguchi, Abelgard, McCarthy, Sorrow. There's been a number of players who haven't really been able to be that kind of backup. Iwata's a good player. I like Tomoki Iwata, but I just wonder if Loal may offer us a bit more strength in that midfield that no one has for a good number of years. I'm really excited. I don't want to go overboard. I think I want to see more of him tonight. But and it was against Ayr United. I get all that. But he stood out. You were looking at other players in that team to stand out on Friday night. Yang, maybe Stephen Welsh. Loal was the one when he came on, and it was almost like a man against boys at times, the way he was running with the ball.
And that's what you want, Hamish. You want Bosun Loal to stand out in this kind of fixture. Because if he didn't, then you would entertain a loan to Birmingham. Yeah. So you would entertain something like that. But that's another encouraging sign for me. And it's a player who really knows himself. I think he's got it in his head that this is possibly make or break for him, but he's going to give it his best shot, and he's going to show you that he's learned from playing a season of competitive English football. And I think if he does that, then he will come into the manager's thinking, because then the manager will know he's somebody again who's malleable and can shape into something that he wants for his team and to perform a role in that. And I think that's what Bosun Loal needs to do. And again tonight, I'll be interested to see him as well.
What are we hoping for tonight? Just finally, guys, a few more recognisable names, maybe. A team that we know everyone who's starting. Sorry, that's harsh on Bonner and Kyle and Donovan and a few of the other guys. It's good they got their chance, but are we hoping for a bit of a better Celtic performance, Joe?
I think, it's difficult.
You don't care, do you? You don't like pre-season games.
It's not that. Yeah, I mean, it's going through the motions sounds so redundant on our end, but do you know what I mean? It's like I get that it's so important for the team, and it's great to see young players come in. It's great to show us some of the young players. I mean, there was players that I'd only heard by name. There was players in the squad that I wasn't even aware of, to be quite honest with you, because I don't think they've had any public facing profiles so far. So I get all the benefit, but it's almost like, and again, I'm a selfish fan, I say it every time, but you're getting a wee taste of the football coming back. Euros is great, I know it's still ongoing, but you get a wee taste of it, and now it's like, let's get us forward towards the real thing. Now I'm too impatient.
Queen's Park v Celtic or the Netherlands v England, Tony? What are you going for tonight?
Oh, it's no brainer. I'm at the City Stadium, open brackets, close brackets, Lesser Hampden. So I'll be watching the leather belts. So whatever happens with England and the Netherlands, so be it. I'm sure I'll be kept informed of that by Sunday.
Yeah, no, it should be good. I'm looking forward to seeing the team. Hopefully, like O'Reilly, Hatate, Maida tonight, maybe some other players. I just want to see a bit more control in our play. I totally get Friday. Listen, there was, even with a full team out, we would have probably seen a pretty disjointed performance. I fancy a few goals tonight and send us to the States with a bit of confidence.
As we touched upon, I'd like to see Kelly play.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'd like to see that, and I'd like to see that in light of what Fabrizio Romano's tweeted today. And I think if you're Brendan Rodgers, I would play Kelly. You know, so
maybe there's more speculation if he doesn't play. Maybe it's more they're
Yeah,
thrashing
well,
it
that's
now
what I
and
mean.
trying behind the scenes.
Yeah, so you'd be inclined to play him, you know, just to quash any kind of speculation and just sort of say, you know, it's business as usual type thing for me anyway. But you know, if he doesn't play, then he's going to get asked, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, and then if he does play, he'll get asked anyway. So what's the situation? So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, really, aren't you? So
Yeah,
one of those ones.
Well, I was going to say it's a big night. It's a moderately sized night. It's going to be good to see the team.
I'll be the judge of that if it's a big night.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tony, you're getting to see the game in the flesh, so to speak. So everyone else, I think Celtic TV will be the legal option to watch the game. I think 7:45 kickoff, so it'll be hopefully a good performance, and as I say, send us a bit of confidence. Signings would give us a bit of confidence as well, but they don't look like they're coming right at this point. But that might change tomorrow when we return, and we'll be chatting about all of that kind of stuff. Joe, Tony, thank you for your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in, as always, commenting. Calm down, Hamish. Yeah, that's in reference to me saying it's a huge night. Fair enough, right? Cheers everyone. Sweet tea tomorrow.